Hello everyone. So we are supposed to figure out how to do tailor-made recommendations for individual customers. Now, of course, mass personalization has been much the talk of town, and how you can basically give an offer to every individual customer that is tailored to that customer and he cannot refuse it. But I'm guessing that life is never as simple. Of course, in banking, I spent some time in banking and we have a lot of data, but we have not been super successful at mass customization. Um, as you can make out from all the offers that come to you from all these credit cards, most of them are quite undifferentiated. And banking traditionally has struggled a little bit with this, let's admit it. E-commerce and other industries have done better. But at the same time, banking had one advantage that they're failing to make use of. One is they have a lot of data. They know a lot about their customers. Today, of course, with KYC, they know more about their customers than the customers would want. But yeah, they do know a lot about their customers. But we've always had a challenge of putting it together into something that is indeed indicative of an individual customer and then delivering it to that individual customer at a time that he wants and so on. And as I said, knowing how irritating all these offers are, we are not doing a very good job. But you represent different industries. So you in particular, insurance. You, I guess, have a different challenge. People hardly ever interact with insurance. Maybe twice a year if you're unlucky and once a year if you're lucky. And so you have a lot less information about your customer. Of course, you know much more about his car than he does. But how do you generate the data, the personalization required to give such offers? Do you give such offers at all in the first place?
Hi. So I think the word insurance as an industry says it all. It's dull, boring, and you can pick up all adjectives that you can think of. And having said this, it's an annual product that you're looking at. So it's an annual engagement. I'm probably having the most genuine reason to speak to him only once a year, closer to his renewal. Now, while I do this, the larger problem here lies with across the industry is to engage this customer throughout the year, have valuable conversations, create some insight, create some value add. Now, while I'm talking all of these aspects, as an industry, India is, at about 4 to 5% in terms of insurance penetration, right? I mean, courtesy COVID, I think there is a larger change and contribution to the insurance penetration aspect. And we are one of the largest population. We are poised to become one of the largest insurance markets in the world. With this, awareness is low on insurance, and we struggle to communicate to the customer, letting him know the reasons and the choices that he has. Now, while we talk insurance, there are different categories of products. You have something which is a easy talking product, which could be a motor, right? I mean, there is a nudge enough from the regulatory bodies to come in and tell you that it's a compulsory document to have while you drive across the roads. Even in that case, the customer here is very conveniently being very sensitive to the price, giving me as good as zero loyalty, and thereafter violating the norm also, if I may say, in certain areas. But then again, despite a compulsory push from the government, we still lack there. On the contrary, your health product is a very talkable product. You can, talk to someone, tell them that, this is something that is a must. I mean, in times of today, when we've witnessed a COVID scenario where we've seen enough, increases across medical expenses or any other aspect for that matter, the customer must value this product. But as I move across geographically, as I move across, say, different categories of people, so service sector people were earlier bounded by the tax regime or so, there's a mix of people who still question the health insurance requirement, and we sit with that problem. So even though insurance is like a very acceptable product across the West, in India it is still a conversation that's happening. Again, there's a lot of push from several other brands, influencers. There are people who talk about investments, but unfortunately, the crux is that people still think of it as an expense and not really an investment. So that's where my challenge lies. I'm trying to create that awareness. I'm trying to engage with my customer. So as an insurance broker, I can talk to any and every insurance company, and I can come back to you to give you the best suited product. Again, insurance broking in itself is a very niche industry. So there are these pockets of places where, we are working our way to get that communication right. And, as brands, I'm sure we, compete in the minds of the customer and not really across the options that the individual has. So across the insurance industry, across insurance broking, all of us are this one force that is working together to create awareness, to create engagement. And it's a healthy balance between online and offline, because people still expect a face to the insurance industry and not really a pure play digital. There are digital products, there is a mix of term. Term is something that, term life that is, people think of as a pure play digital product. Motor is also on that route, which could be a quick renewal product. So the transition is happening, but it's slow. But I'm hoping there'll be enough externalities that will contribute to our growth.
Yeah, but also you are about to get a fire hose of information. I noticed the Aditya Birla, the regular insurance company, takes my health data every time. They have this app that's sitting on my phone and it keeps reading my health data. And every once in a while, the doctor calls up and says, "You haven't done any exercise," which of course can't be much of an insight. But and nowadays, cars increasingly are giving a lot of data on driving habits and so on. So I'm guessing you will start getting a lot of data and therefore a lot more by way of personalization. So you could go to a customer and say, you should take whatever, this particular car insurance for this particular value, and you're unlikely to lose your keys because you haven't done so in 25 years, things like that.
So there is hyper-personalization. Like I said, there exist multiple products. We understand the customer's persona. And, while we also as a brand talk to customers, we ensure that we understand the entire appetite of his, his lifestyle. What car does he run? Is there a propensity for him to pick up another vehicle? Can I approach him for that aspect? Can I talk to him possibly for his business entity that he has? We also have corporate insurance products that exist. So yes, personalization exists. We create those communications because for our B2B businesses, we're talking to stakeholders. Now, these stakeholders could also be individual, customers for me. So we are sitting on a lot of data, and we're beginning to do a lot of work at home, I'd say that. But yes, the industry is poised with different challenges, and we're embracing it one step at a time.
And you, of course, have enough data. Brokerages definitely have plenty of data. So how do you deal with this? How do you deal with personalization? Where do you see it makes a difference? You are not a once-in-a-year kind of product. So how do you figure out how to increase engagement, increase sales, using hyper-personalization?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. BlinkX as an organization, when we started like one year back, as a digital business of JM Financial. So one of the key things we keep in mind when building the tech stack and the platforms, everything, right? That we wanted to build ourselves as more of a tech company in terms of making sure that all the technology is in place, and in terms of all the platforms are ready. That is the first thing we kept in mind. So that's how we started. And one biggest advantage we had is that it's a digital product. It's a completely digital product, and we do 100% digital business. So there is no confusion around like whether we can do offline, whether we can do online. That kind of confusion is not present with BlinkX as an organization. And one of the key things we done in terms of platform choosing and everything, right? When we created our digital assets, we chose right partners in terms of like MoEngage, attribution platforms. So those are some of the platforms we have chosen in the beginning journey itself. And that actually helped us when we started growing our business in terms of doing marketing spends and everything, right? All our attribution, personalization, everything was in place already when we started our business. So that actually helped us to in terms of doing, so we built a nudge engine, which kind of a engine we are using for all our customers and the prospects also. That in turn actually making sure that we give a unique experience to each of our customers in terms of the product they're looking for. Because in the broking also we have different kind of products offering, right? Somebody might be just looking for a demat account. Somebody might be looking for they are more like intraday kind of traders. So that kind of different personalization we could create through our the platform, the MarkTech platform we are using. And similarly, the push notification and everything, right? Those kind of personalization was possible because we chose those platforms in the beginning of the journey itself. And also one of the key thing we done was the platform for the CDP. So it's a unique view of customer we have created. And we can do any sorts of data cuts for those customers to understand like what is the behavior in terms of which channel is giving me more revenues, which channel is not performing well, what kind of campaigns is working for each this particular segment. So those are some of the key things we have done for the personalization offering for the end user.
Given this plethora of tools, and I used to be in e-commerce and we used to have all the nice toys, the biggest challenge is writing good rules. And we always found it very hard to get the skills required to understand the data and write the rules. Like I was listening to the Hotstar guy and I was very impressed with all the time he has spent gaining the insight and narrowing it down and refining it and so on. Now, how are you handling that problem? Brokerages obviously have to learn this from scratch, where e-commerce has already done this for a while.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. I think very important question to answer. So this is a biggest challenge I think all of us faces in terms of when we are communicating to the end user, right? How many times we are sending the communication? Are we bombarding the end user? Are we sending the channels from different channels? How many times we are communicating to them? What kind of messages we are sending to them? So that's a very essential thing. And the good part is that I think the important part is to understand a anonymous user becoming a known user, right? When somebody is coming to my website, that person is an anonymous user to me. I don't have any more profile information about from the cookie or some basic information about the customer. So making sure the unique view I'm creating for the customer is done properly is a very essential thing whenever we are building a single view kind of platform, right? Whether it is CDP or any other data management platform we are using. So transforming from anonymous user to known user with a single view, which actually helps us to make sure that we do communicate to that person once. Because we shouldn't have a separate profile for that customer based on maybe that person can be coming from different mobile number, but it's the same person who is using a different mobile number. So that's a very essential thing should be done in the basic foundation layer itself. And again, the platform, the MarTech platform like MoEngage like of platform actually helps us to make sure that you can put a capping, right? One user can't be getting more than 2 SMS in a day. In WhatsApp, I shouldn't be send a communication more than once a day to the kind of user, right? So mix of both these things actually helped us to resolve this particular problem.
Yeah, and how did you go about learning these? Like, is 2 good or is 3 good? Are 2 messages enough or is 3 messages better? How do you go about learning this?
Yeah, so that's a very important question. I think it's more about trying out and understanding that where exactly user is probably marking that email as a spam kind of thing, or they are not interested, unsubscribing behavior, all those things I think would be very essential. Same for WhatsApp also. Users are tend to say that, okay, I haven't subscribed for this particular notification. So that behavior actually tells us that, that data analysis actually tells us that what should be ideal number of communication we should be sending to each of these platforms.
And how long did it take you to achieve a certain level of maturity in this? The learning curve, how long, how steep was it?
We are still learning. So I think it's been, so I think in last 3-4 months, what I would say, the things have matured a lot. And I think now I have a confidence that almost 99%, I would say that my platform doesn't shoot wrong messages to the end user. So I think 3-4 months is a time period after setting up everything and when you started doing like a bombarding communication to the end user, right, based on these platforms. So that kind of maturity will come in almost 3-4 months time. I think you will be more confident in terms of the data you are sending to and the kind of targeting you are doing, right? That kind of confidence comes. But I think it might take another 3-4 months to be 100% confidence in like making sure that nothing is wrong in these platforms.
You, on the other hand, have another problem. You don't even digitally engage your customers. Most of your engagement is physical. So how do you deliver the personalization? I mean, how do you enable personalization at the front end, at the field sales end? And also, I guess, you would have taken some promotional activity along with the field visit for that customer. So how do you enable that?
So If I had to tell you a quick story, we were just playing around with this content idea of checking what the customer's response was to words which would talk about either the discounting aspect, and the second was projecting savings. So across, obviously, like I said, the insurance category, it is seen as an expense in India, and we're trying to address that problem. So we just piloted to see, what works better. Does the customer actually look for discounts? So discounts are not applicable to all products. It's typically motor, where you have a bonus component that comes in like a final waiver into your product. So we wanted to measure that. Do you want to take a guess what worked the best for us? What do you think? Was it discount or was it savings?
I think savings might have worked, but ideally it should be discount.
So
Everybody thinks it's discounts.
Yeah.
absolutely. So it was discounts. So people liked the word discount. People liked all my communication when I spoke discounts. The moment I said savings, they were like, yeah, no, not interested. My views had reduced, right? So it was discounts. Now, that is for one product. Now, when I extend this to a health, or I extend this to anything which is a curated product, because see, a health insurance premium for that matter would vary for me, would vary for you, would vary for you, and it's different, right, for everyone. So personalization is the need. I have to talk to him at the right time with the right insight and create that engagement with that person. So if I am talking to a person for a particular health insurance aspect, let's say the person is in the early 20s, I am creating my conversation around awareness. I am talking to him at the right time, at the right forum, through the right medium. I may probably look at something which is more discovery-led, where the customer himself comes in, or probably picks up some content pieces that work for him as information pieces, and thereafter comes to me. Now, when I'm talking to someone who's in the 30 to 40 cohort, it'll probably be more of a probably an obligation for him, because he has a family, he wants to cover his expense, he wants to cover his future. So it'll be a more mature conversation, if I may say, no offense on the word. But, my conversations across different cohorts will vary. Just another example that I like to throw. Now, this is a personal example. Now, while I was studying, it was my father that I looked up to for all my, decisions. Ki, acha chalo, first salary hai, kya karna hai? Right? If I'm saying, this is my expense and this is my investment, what do I do? So my father was my primary consumer. I, being the secondary consumer, he was still driving the decision for me. And I'm sure that exists across your category also. So you have different levels of consumers contributing to your set of investments and insurances, and thereafter you make an informed decision. So while anyone like us as insurance brokers, we come to you as a person who has enough expertise, and we add value to the decisions that you want to make. So I think across age cohorts, we've only experienced multiple permutation and combinations of people, and whenever we talk, it's a different language that I have to create, because I'm sure all of us are hounded enough with multiple conversations throughout the day.
But where do you use digital engagement?
So it's typically campaigns. So let's say if it's the monsoons currently, so there are states which are prone to heavy rainfall. So I would want to talk to them about, say, car well-being or wear and tear. Have you done your pre-monsoon checkup or so? I will have to pick up some topical aspects where I can engage with them. There's road safety awareness that happens in the month of Feb. Across health also, there are enough conversations that happen. Now, since we operate in the B2B space also for corporate insurance, we talk to them about products. We do awareness. We try and create an experience around it. Like I cannot give you the exact details, but we're trying to have the customer come in, have a chat with us. I think that's important, because the moment they have a chat, they're happy to explain their problems, and we're in the right role, giving them the right kind of advice. And I think that's typically what happens in the insurance industry. It's an advisory/oriented industry, and people want a face, they want a face. Obviously, there is enough digital penetration, there is exposure where people come, they evaluate the product on multiple aggregation platforms, or they, consume some information on a discovery-led social platform. But they still want someone, it could be an AI bot, or it could be someone over the call, but they want that little intervention of a person coming in and helping them make that choice.
So I must tell you, I spent a lot of my initial technology years in e-commerce. And one of the things we struggled with there, of course, personalization was there, but the tools weren't there yet. And of course, our ability to handle data was much poorer. And we kept running into this one barrier that most small stores would do better. Even today, now it's slowly becoming that, but even today, e-commerce struggles against mom and pop. Why? Because mom and pop is incredibly good at personalization. Like Kiran stores where I grew up knew not only what I bought, what my mother bought, what every neighbor of mine bought. And there would be cases where they would stock one single product just because some auntie wanted one particular brand of hing for the last 5 years. That kind of personalization was very hard for us to do. And it continues. The reason mom and pop stores still survive, where they survive, is because they offer a very high level of personalization, and humans are, that individual is very good at it. If the guy is not good at it, his shop closes. So it's evolution. But, we've always strived to achieve that. And digital has always challenged with personalization versus irritation quotient, in the sense that, for instance, Facebook thinks I know Marathi just because I live in Bombay. It keeps insisting if I go from a new browser on showing me the login screen in Marathi, which of course I can't figure out. So nowadays I don't even know which one is the login box. So those challenges are always there, and this is true of a lot of things, that personalization gone wrong can be extremely irritating. So how do you handle that?
So it's a very interesting question. I think for us, probably that challenge is a bit low because I think last few years after the pandemic has come, right, the broking industry and the demat account opening has increased a lot, and there are so many, and also with discount broking coming into picture, right? I mean, this has changed a lot. I think in some of the cases where I could see where maybe the personalization has gone wrong or something like that, where mostly probably because demat account opening happens all across the India, right? We don't have any presence in the ground, but demat account opening is happening all across the India. Now, for some of the tier 2, tier 3 cities, probably there we could see that there is a need of a vernacular kind of content, and where English doesn't work that much. And that we have seen from the ad data also, ad campaigns also, that the vernacular kind of content or the landing pages works very well for us. And also the language barrier in terms of if the customer has dropped off, hasn't completed the DIY journey to open the account. So then in some of the South Indian languages, we have seen that there is a need for call center people to call on that particular language itself. So this kind of personalization, what we have done is mostly handle case by case kind of scenario where the lead distribution kind of methodology or the algorithm we are using for the lead distribution happens that if a lead is coming from a particular region, we tend to cater it to a particular set of sales guys only who knows multiple languages, and they can cater to different kind of users. And for other vernacular languages, what we have done, we have created the landing pages and our campaigns and multiple communications also in vernacular languages, so that when we are doing a personalization campaign, they understand that language and complete the journey accordingly. So these are the 2-3 probably things we have done in terms of the challenges we have faced with the personalization.
To him about, and if there's a misconstructed information that exists in his mind, without any fault of mine, my communication is not set right. So we are faced by several I would say several varieties of customer problems, because we're typically in the service business. So what happens is, be it claims or be it even mis-selling, I think mis-selling also exists in the insurance industry. So there are these possibilities where a customer can get irked and he's like, okay, I'm done, I'm blocking you. So we face that. In fact, even for motor insurance renewal, let's say, I have renewed from the dealer that I have picked up my product from. So the dealer is going to reach out to me next year. The insurance company will reach out to me next year, and the insurance broker will also reach out to me. Over and above, if I'm going and exploring the product on, say an online comparison platform, I will get 2 more people competing. Now with all of these 5 people talking to me, let's say if I am the person who's been ensuring loyalty and have been contributing to the customer's positive experience, the other external factors will come in and sour my experience because there's a price difference. So I am talking to him about value, the other person is giving him a price discount, and that's it. I'm off the radar. So, while we talk about personalization, there exist these, scenarios where no matter how much we try, there are these fallouts. But I think, like I said, it's one step at a time. Every day is different for us. Every time we pilot, we're only shocked by results, and it only makes sense to go by what the customer is evolving to understand, or or whatever we're faced by in the market. So we have to remain geared up for any parallel conversation to address it.
So that's pretty much all the time we had. This was very entertaining, understanding two different industries and how they deal differently with personalization and the challenges of their industry. Thank you very much.